Hello. Welcome to the stream. Give me about a couple of minutes. It has been a while since I last streamed, so I'm gonna have to figure out this stuff. 1 second. It's saying I have a face cam. Um, Probably activate. There's my face cam. All right, and probably activate, activate. Okay. Hello. Deactivate. Okay. 1 second, guys. Here. And now can activate. Oh, shoot. Okay. I need to fix that. Huh. It's way too much. Remove for now? Okay. Okay, let's grab again. That looks good. It's too much. Hi. Hello mọi người. Okay, so by the way, the stream is gonna be in English, but if I see Vietnamese comments, I will all questions, then I will answer in Vietnamese. Okay. I get that's it. Alrighty. All right. I think it should be good, right? Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to the stream. And it has been a long time. I think like 3 or 4 months, right? For the past so in July, I visited my in-laws family in Vietnam for like 3 months. So I was gone for like from July to October, uh, working in a different time zone, working odd hours. So basically, I still had to work with U.S. time zone. So it was a little bit hard on my body. Um, when that's all over, yes. Hôm nay hôm nay quay lại con phím này. Ờ, Tại vì đang chờ con phím mới. Okay, so there's that. So now I'm back to the US. It's been, I think, about a month that I got back here. I've been trying to fight jet lag. I mean, not jet lag, jet lag. Jet lag. My kid, my son, got it a little bit worse. What time is 9:50? It's 9:50 p.m. It's almost 10 p.m. Lê Chí, anh treo cái Google Developer Experts đằng sau làm Decker luôn anh. So talk about this right here, right? Man, go. So this one, they have they have the tab. I don't know, maybe right here. Yeah, hôm nay mình sẽ nói một tí về Angular 3 luôn. So I'm gonna be talking about a little bit about Angular 3, like what the vision, not vision, but like what the future of Angular 3. And I know a lot of people, like a lot of Vietnamese people, are not on Twitter, so yes. Để mình kể chuyện về Việt Nam. So I'm gonna speak in Vietnamese now. So mình về Việt Nam mình bị bệnh 3-4 lần. Không biết là do không quen, lâu quá không về không quen, hay là người ở Việt Nam bây giờ đông quá rồi, coi như là mật độ dân số nó cao quá nên dễ bị lây bệnh, rồi sau dịch Covid rồi đồ cái kiểu. Thì mình về mình bị bệnh 3-4 lần. Cộng thêm là mình phải làm việc vào buổi ban đêm nữa cho nên rất là mệt. Nhiều khi cái hệ miễn dịch nó bị yếu, thì bị bệnh 3-4 lần, cái bị sụt cân, bị sụt tới 3-4 ký. Chứ ai mà về Việt Nam mà thì nó sụt 3-4 ký. Rồi mình đi khám bệnh, khám tổng quát tuổi 30 nè, thì nói chung là có ra bệnh, cho nên là mình cũng ăn uống kỹ càng hơn, rồi cũng tập thể dục thể thao, bắt đầu tập thể dục thể thao hơn. Thì từ lúc mà mình đi khám tới bây giờ là 3 tháng, thì trong 3 tháng vừa rồi thì mình có tập chạy bộ, cho nên là bây giờ là gầy hơn. Tính từ lúc mà bắt đầu về Việt Nam là từ tháng 7 tới bây giờ, thì tầm 4 tháng thì mình đã sụt 7 ký rồi. Lúc mà trước khi về Việt Nam mình tới 85 ký lận, bây giờ mình có 77 ký thôi. Cho nên yes, có gầy hơn. Okay, so it's about 13 minutes. So we're gonna give it about two more minutes, and then we're gonna start talking about the things that we want to talk about today. Right? Music stop. That's fine. I'm gonna just switch account. Just log out. Hello, hello. So we are going to talk about. I'm gonna check. What the hell? My webcam froze. This is reactivate. Okay, it's 15 minutes. Why the webcam is so keep freezing? Okay, so it's about 15 minutes, so we're gonna start talking stuff. All right, so we're gonna leave the Angular stuff later, because I'm gonna do some coding. But let's talk about this right here. So this has been going on for a while internally, right? I think we've started talking about this for like the past year or so, or at least half a year, like 6 months ago. And initially we aimed for, I guess, I have a great boss, I don't know what's up with this webcam. All right, I'm gonna turn it off. So, all right, I don't know what's up with this. Is that we were able to get more money, and this is actually a really good thing, because up until now, NX or Narwhal, right? Narwhal employees. We have about like I think 30 employees and about 24, 25 engineers. So those 24, 25 engineers. Oh, really? Is this good now? Is this good now? Hello, 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 hello. For some reason, it went out. I think the USB cable is a little bit funky, but it's fine. If it goes out again, if it goes out again, let me know in the chat, right? Don't let me talk. Let me know in the chat. Okay, so up until now, like NX or Narwhal at its core, even though we work on like a product, an open source product, NX, right, monorepo, but we actually a consultancy. So we are a consulting company that we consult. We do consulting for large enterprises or like banks. I think mostly banks. Yeah, banks and stuff like that. Um, that that are using NX, right? And then they want like experts, NX experts to come in and help them. So it's basically a consultant. And I've seen two kinds of consultancy that we've done. One is like the traditional consultancy that you go in, even though like initially we start helping them to do better with an X, but then like gradually become the engineers. We do their tasks, build the components, install that stuff, right? Another type of consultancy is like mainly work on integrating NX or make NX better, right? So, and we only have like the 25 engineers, we only have 1 day a week. Some may be more, some may be less. They're really flexible, but generally 1 day a week or 20% of the work week to work on NX. If you think about it, we have 25 people, each has 8 hours a week to work on NX. And now NX is a product that it is today, thanks to those like 8 hours a week. And I'm not even talking about like context switching. Like even it is 8 hours, right? But then when you switch off the client project or the consultancy, and you have to do like a couple of hours to see what you missed from the NX code base. Maybe you forgot your code that you wrote last week or something like that. It's flexible, but it does have some disadvantages like the switching context things, and we don't have enough time to work on NX. Yeah, hi everyone. Hi everyone. So now with $8.6 million with this funding, we are able to move engineers off of the consultancy and focus more on the NX as a product. So we basically like transitioning from a consulting company into a product company, which means that we are able to focus more on NX. So which makes NX a more stable choice, and we're gonna have a lot more new features, better maintained, and all that good stuff. Because now we can focus on NX. We still keep some of those consulting that are related to NX. So like we go into like large enterprises, we do configuration for them, we do CI/CD pipelines for them, and we do not work on their components. Basically, that we do not work on the UI of the application, but we do work on the configuration of NX for that applications. So those consulting we still keep because it's good. It's good for the business. It's just something we have something that we can test, right? We can dog fooding. So if we have like a new features or if we have like a better release or something, we can try on those large enterprises. If we have like a performance improvement or something like that, we can try on those because those repos, those projects have like thousands of tests, right? So yeah, so it's great news. Yes. So if you read the article, you will see that the reason that we start raising funding because we start seeing the revenue from NX Cloud and NX Enterprise is actually increasing at a higher rate than the consulting. The consulting still is the main revenue, but the rate of increasing the NX Cloud and NX Enterprise is more, which means that we can evaluate the company at a higher evaluation so that we can get a better funding. Right, so this $8.6 million can cover like a lot of runway for the consultancy to be sunsetting. So that's good. That's a good thing. And I cannot say much about it at this point, but right now we're gonna focus on transitioning from consulting back to product in the next 2 or 3 months. So it's still slow at this point, but after that, things gonna go really really fast. What else? We focus on NX Cloud, of course, make NX Cloud better, and the revenue model is going to be on NX Enterprise mainly. So NX Enterprise, so NX Cloud is basically it has a free tier on 500 hours saved, right? And then it has like a paid tier, which is still on hours based. But then you have NX Enterprise, which is NX Cloud, but it's a subscription based, so like per employee or per engineer pricing. So large enterprises like Capital One, T-Mobile, all those companies, if they want to go with NX Enterprise, that's what they have to pay. And NX Enterprise comes with like support, like prioritized support, basically a form of consulting, but we do not commit to like a 3 months or 6 months contract. It's like 40 hours, right? Somebody spend like 40 hours with those companies to set them up. That's it. So that is the main revenue model. What it means for us is that we can focus on NX again, make it better, all that stuff. What it means for the community, as I said, NX as a product as it is today has been received a lot better. I mean, good, great, but it's gonna be better for the community because, I mean, it only get better unless something else like come out and like completely break the monorepo scene. So yeah, so that's NX monorepo stuff. Oh, and by the way, the company name is Narwhal, and then the product is NX, right? But then nobody really knows Narwhal. When they see us, they were like, "What is Narwhal? What is Narwhal doing?" When we start saying, "Oh, we're the company behind NX monorepo," like, "Oh my goodness, I love your product." I'm like, so we like thinking about rebranding from Narwhal as a company to NX as the company. So that we go to conferences and stuff like that. We put NX banner instead of a Narwhal banner. So yeah, we tweet on Twitter. We tweet from the NX account instead of the Narwhal account and all that stuff. I changed my LinkedIn to say NX instead of Narwhal as a company now. So yeah, that's something that I want to share, and I think that's pretty much it that I want to share about NX and the funding. So look out for more stuff from us. All right. Any questions so far? And thank you for the congratulations. Yep, hai anh lâu lắm rồi mới thấy anh stream lại. Yeah, mình đi Việt Nam về phải bị lệch múi giờ hết 2 tuần. Rồi lệch múi giờ xong cái rồi bên Mỹ nó lại đổi giờ. Nên là tới bây giờ thì mới rảnh rảnh mà khỏe khỏe để mà livestream. Tại vì thời gian vừa về Mỹ thì chỉ muốn ngủ thôi. Alright. Let's see. Oh, what happened? All right. Right, so we're gonna move on to Angular 15. So Angular 15 just released yesterday. And by the way, yep, we actually released 15.2.0, which supports Angular 15 now. So like a day later, we have support for it, which is awesome. All right. So Angular 15, and there should be a blog post. Blog post Angular 15. What's new in Angular? This is fine. This one is fine. Right. So Angular 15. Standalone components are stable. I've been using standalone components a lot. I don't use ng modules anymore, and it's working great unless your application needs to be zoneless, right? Because currently there's no way to configure zoneless applications with standalone API, right? So there's a bunch of information in here that you want to read. There's like ng4 off is now ng4. The router link with href is now just router link. So those are like shortened because before it was ng module, so it's router module and common module, right? So the name of these directives do not matter, but it matters now because we start importing them individually. So now the Angular team changed the name to be simpler and like more recognizable. Like we use router link, we do not know that it is actually router link with href. So now it's just router link. Same thing with ng4. We say ng4. We do not say ng4 off, right? So, yep. The new HTTP client, awesome. There's like a functional, I think, interceptors. Yeah, there's functional interceptors now. And directive composition API. This is what we're gonna talk about today. So let's see what it looks like, right? ng optimized image. I haven't used this a lot because you have to like specify the sizes and stuff like that. So I haven't tried it, but this is awesome. I tried it when it first released, and it was really nice because little effort. You change the source to like ng source, and then everything just works, and it's way better because it's like lazy load, and it's just nice. So use it if you we're gonna talk about that. Dependency injection, so provided in any and the provided in ng module have been deprecated. I have not used these syntax at all. I don't have a need for it. Like if something is a singleton, I use provided in root, and then if I need to provide it somewhere, I just don't use provided in. That's it. That's simple. Don't worry about provided in any other module because it's just dumb. Right. Next we have router. Right, router. You can have like default export, so now you don't have to do .den. So this is available in Angular 15 now. Right. Form stuff. The utility function, which is awesome because this is probably these are like type guard. So when you say is from array control, right, TypeScript will be able to like narrow the type of control from abstract control back to from array, so you can do stuff with it. This is I don't know about this one. And there's better stack trace, so there's like the error that show up in the console. Before it was a bunch of like Zone.js stuff, but now it's a lot more organized. Right. So bạn Nguyễn Thành Tiến có hỏi là em không hiểu Advanced của Standalone vì em đang hiểu Module thì giúp tổ chức code tốt hơn. Okay, so it really depends. Right. Rất là tùy thôi. I don't know why the USB went out. The USB port went out, so I had to fix this real quick. Yeah, thank you for letting me know. Let me know again if it goes out again. All right, so back to standalone. So standalone or ng module, really, what the word? They are very similar in the sense that how you structure your code. Basically, if you structure your code in a bad way, it doesn't really matter which one to use because it's gonna be bad anyway. If you're good, then it's gonna be good anyway. But the important thing is that you have to understand the mental model, right? With the standalone. So I'm gonna draw something. It's called a draw. All right. So with ng module, so let's say you have a simple parent-child relationship, right? So the main model is something like this. So I have that, and it's a parent component, right? This is parent component. Okay. And then with ng module, this parent component, right, has to be inside of a parent module, right? And what else? Now you have the same thing for the child. So this is child component, right? And this is child module. Right, so now when you want to use like parent component, or you want to use child component inside of the parent component, you go this route. So you go from this to this to this. So this is the mental model of ng module, right? Even though you just use the component, you have to like jump through hoops of parent module, child module to get to the child component. I mean, with standalone component, just this, right? It's just that, because all of this is gone. So then it just go straight from parent component to child component. There's no ng module. Like child component, whatever it uses, it doesn't really matter. Ng if, ng for, whatever you want to use inside of child component. Now everything is encapsulated inside of that child component. And when you test, when you run the storybook, when you do like component testing, Cypress component testing, and you give the child component to testbed, the testbed understands everything child component needs, right? You don't have to worry about, oh, providers, oh, what module does child component needs. No, you don't have to do that, because child component has everything encapsulated inside of it. Everything it is needs. So I think that is a great mental model to have. It does not matter how you structure your code, whether it's bad or whether it's good. Standalone or module does not help you like improving the way you structure your code, but understanding the mental model might help you better. Okay, I hope that answered the questions. I love standalone components. I think it's a good direction. But there might be, or there will be, use cases for ng modules still. But yeah, I haven't seen one. So all right. So now Angular 15, we like briefly went through what's new, but this is like really new, the Directive Composition API. So Directive Composition API, you know what? Let's generate a new Is that the size better? Let's do one more. Okay. So for this, I just generate a new component. All right. Let's just say ng 15. and I'm gonna do minimal and defaults. There we go. Hello, hello. Okay. So just generate a new application, a new Angular application. We're gonna check it out. And let's see my webcam then. Let's see my webcam if it's working. All right. Okay. So it's finished. So let's see into NG15 and it's going up and WebStorm. All right. So the new Angular application, I mean the new Angular 15 CLI app generator generates an Angular application with less files. If you notice, look into the source, the polyfills is gone. And because I said minimal, so there's no testing set up for me. So you don't normally see it, but I use minimal for like demo stuff. Okay, my webcam went on again. All right, I'm gonna turn off my webcam and fix this later. So there we go. Okay. And if you look into the Angular JSON file, you will see, actually, let me close that. You see there's a new field called polyfills. It's a zone.js. Right? So instead of having like a polyfills files, now there is this polyfills inside of the Angular JSON file. Right? And everything stays almost the same. Now there is a new builder called ESBuild builder. So it uses ESBuild under the hood. It's actually faster, but we do not they do not have like serving or like ng-serve capability yet, which I don't think makes more sense for me. So I'm just gonna use the Webpack one, and when serving comes, when like ng-serve with ESBuild comes, ooh, it's gonna be fast. Okay. And the Angular CLI still generates an ng module application. So I'm gonna turn this into a standalone component first. So just say standalone view, right, and go to main.ts and say bootstrap application, say app component, right? There we go. Done. So now let's just start the app. So it's ng-serve. Oh, by the way, the font size okay? It's already in use. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Okay. Let me know if the font size is too small. Guess I can definitely fix that. All right. There we go. So now the application is working. It's a standalone application. We can actually remove the module file now. Okay. So what is directive composition? So let's talk about why. Oh, let's talk about the problem first. So I'm gonna go into like a fluid.component.ts, right? Actually, I'm gonna do this real quick. That's weird. Hmm. Okay. I'm gonna turn off that as well because I don't have time to fix this right now. So let's talk about directive composition. Right. So without directive composition, you have a couple of ways to like compose your components, directives inside of an Angular application. You can do composition for sure. So you can have one component, right? And you can have like two component, and these two is gonna like you can render one, two, and it's basically you can do so, so this is the most basic form of composition. And right, I say, hey, I want to use F1 here. So this is composition. Right, now there's other way too. Let's say if you want to have you can have a service, right? You can have a queue provider, something like that, and this is an injectable. Now you can basically do like business logic or non-rendering logic. So non-rendering logic in here, right? And you can actually you can do that with providers, two providers. So now you compose the rendering part and the business logic part. Basically you separate them and then you compose them into one component without having too much code inside of two component. Okay. There's also you can do a two directive, right? And you can do a directive here. Something like this. You can do two directive here, but the selector can be the same, right? The selector can be the same as your component. So when you write app2 once on the template, it actually would instantiate, Angular will actually instantiate two component and two directive at the same time. You can now have a different logic in here and then different logic in here, right? So, and basically you can actually you can do this too. So it's like two imports or something like that, and you put two component, two directive as commands. Now if you want to use the everything that you have, you do two imports, and everything just works because these two go the same, like go together. So right, that's composition, and you can think of like a lot of things, a lot of things that you can compose. And you can actually add like dir here, so you can have like, oh, I want to use this directive. It's basically this directive or this part, the compose part of the two directive can be optional, can be conditional, right? So it means that now you can have app2 by itself, so without a logic from two directive, or you can have app2 and you can have dir, which has the logic from two directive. Yes, I use EAP. It's actually RC now, so you have to have a license to use RC. So yeah, all right. So that's the basic. So you can combine all of these composition stuff into ones. Now, what is the problem with this? What is the problem with this way of composing, right? Let's assume, right? Let's assume that you have another one, right? You have, let's say this is base directive, and then this one you have three component, and I'm gonna bring, actually just gonna copy this one, and say this one is three component, we don't have that, and this is F3, right? Now let's say that the logic inside of base directive are needed by both two component and three component. So you can use the selector matching and say, hey, match app2 or app3. That's it, right? So now when you say app2, it's gonna have this, the base directive is gonna have this as well. But then the problem with this is that when you start using it, instead of app component, so let's say, right, that right, when I start using app2, you can see that WebStorm or in the language service can say, hey, you can import these two, right? But then now, if I don't import base directive, the base directive cannot be instantiated basically. And I have to do base directive here manually, and I don't even know if I'm gonna miss that or not. So you can have like two import with like base directive, and then uh, three import with like three component on base directive, and then we can do two import, and then like this is dumb as well. Let's see. This usually works. I don't know why it doesn't work. There we go. So remove the ascons. But then now you have like three imports. It's gonna like duplicate the base directive. It's okay, but it's duplicating. Okay, so that's the current way of composition. Now let's take a look at the directive composition. All right, so now I'm gonna remove these two guys, and instead of do this and to say base, right, something like that, and then on the component metadata, there's a host directive. Let's say put base directive there. You can say base directive there. It's the same thing, but now you don't have to specify the imports and stuff like that, and you can do multiple. You can do another directive here, right? Or you can do name another directive. Oh, actually, it's a what's directive? Another directive. And you can do inputs as well. You can expose input. So if this input is a base input, right? By default, you cannot add the input inside of the base input. Oh, I mean the base directive, but you can expose them. Well, actually, let's do this. This one is another base input, right? And down here, let's just say directive is base directive. It's gonna be inputs, and here I will expose base input, right? And then for right, and I just expose base input. So basically, when I use app3, I have a base input as my input, but I don't have another base input. Or you can rename it as well. So you can rename this to something else. So now the input name, when I use app3, so it's gonna look like app3, something else, right? App3, right? This is gonna be turned into base input and get passed into the input of the base directive. So this is the host directive. At its core, you can have multiple directives. You can compose them in a very nice way, and you can control what to expose from the base directive or not. This is not possible with the old way of using the selector matching to compose directives and components. But with host directive, you can control what inputs and what outputs to expose from the component, right? Another way, so we've talked about composition, and when you talk about composition, you have to talk about inheritance. So again, you can actually just do like, right? Sorry, extends base directive here. Nothing can stop. You can do extend base directive and do not have the host directive. It will still work. You can still have inputs and outputs, And what else? We can have generics, right? We can have generic. Right? The composition ways inside of Angular right now does not support or do not support generics. There's no way you can pass in a generic. What if my two component is a string, but my three component, like the data or the API, is a number, right? The base directive, I mean the composition before, or the composition API do not support directive. The inheritance does, but with inheritance you can only extend one base class. If you want to extend more class, then you have another base class. You have another base class. So you can keep extending, and you end up with like a bunch of like base classes that your component extends, right? Now, with the so with the composition like host directives and the selector matching approach, you can compose many different directives without going through the inheritance, without going through the extending base classes. But yeah, there's like trade-off. Do you want type safety or not, or do you want better ergonomics, right? Another thing. Now the point is to know which to use what. It's not like inheritance always bad. It's not like composition is always good. You can actually combine the two. I'm gonna show you the current Angular 3, and I'm using inheritance for it because I want the type safety from generics. All right, so I'm gonna show Angular 3 real quick. I think this is the old one, so let's just close that. And okay, we don't have that, so let's open it up to Sandbox. Actually, go to this, Mark, Angular 3, 3.6. Okay, there we go. So let me show you. So text. So Three.js, let me talk a little bit about Three.js. So Three.js at its core, you need a renderer, a scene, and a camera, right? And then after that, we're gonna need some like mesh, which is I'm gonna get 3D. The mesh gonna need like a geometry, shape, and the material texture. Okay. And then you keep just do like scene.add mesh. Next one, mesh 2, mesh 3, and then you compose your scene graph this way. So inside of Angular 3, I have a concept called NGT instance. So inside of a scene graph, I kind of want to keep track of everything inside of my canvas, my WebGL canvas or my 3D canvas. I want to keep track of every single thing of them, and all of them is a base with the NGT instance. If you look at the instance, right, and you see the instance, it's gonna have some state, it's gonna have some inputs, some basic input. So when you say NGT canvas, right? So this is the API of Angular 3, and then you have NGT mesh, and then inside of this, there's NGT box geometry, and it's mesh basic material, NGT mesh basic material. So this is like the basic API of Angular 3. So the canvas give you these three: renderer, scene, and camera. The mesh, when you put the mesh or any object 3D under the NGT canvas, all of them is going to be added to the scene, right? And then when you put box geometry and the material inside of the mesh, they will be added, or they will be attached to the mesh geometry and the material. So how does that work? It's actually cost something attaching, and this is the concept I copied from React 3 Fiber. So they have the concept of attaching. So when I put like box geometry in here, it knows of the parent, right? Because of dependency injection, it knows of the parent. and then it figure out, okay, this parent, I am a geometry, so I'm gonna attach to my parent geometry um, property. So if you look back into the geometry base class, right, is what is an instance, and it will set the attached property to geometry. And same thing with material. It will set where is it? Oh, not this one, sorry. Material, this one. And this one set the attached property to material. So when the instance run, there's an attached to parent effect or function, whatever you want to call it. It's just actually grab the parent instance and attach to it. So it's right here. So just, hey, attach me to my parent with this property to attach. So if I am a geometry, right, I'm gonna be attached to the geometry on the parent. That's it. So that's the concept of attaching. And then this is the base instance. You have object, which is all object 3D has. So it has the inputs of like position and all that stuff, like position, rotation, quaternion, and all that stuff. Why is that? Because an object 3D instead of 3 has all of those, right? You can control the position, right? And then you have object. I have object that extend this input. Right? And then I have material geometry. Right? Material geometry is a special type of object that can accept material and geometry. There are objects that do not need material and geometry, right? And then you have what? A mesh, right? This mesh actually extends the material geometry. And then finally you have the actual mesh, right? The actual mesh that extends common mesh. So to get to like the entity mesh that you use on the template, you see the selector right here, it actually goes through entity mesh, entity common mesh, entity material geometry, entity object inputs, entity instance. That is crazy. That is crazy. But that's what I have to put up with. So that I can have type safety. Because all the way down to the instance, I have a ready output. Ready. Where is ready? There we go. I have a ready output, and this one accept a generate. So that when you do, right, the MGT mesh is a ready on mesh ready, and it accept like an event, right? This event, when you use is on the entity mesh, is actually a mesh object, right? When you use this with like basic material, this is the mesh basic material. So this is the trade-off that I go with. I say, screw it, I'm gonna go with inheritance to get a type safe, right? So that my users are happy with the type. Okay. But it's crazy. You see how much stuff that I'm extending, right? Look at this. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes that I'm extending. And when there's a bug, or when things are not working correctly, this is how many classes that I have to debug. I mean, it almost always in the instance, but yeah, it's lengthy. And you see that this does not have it, but look at the object. It does not have it. Wait, which one? This one. So the material has all of the inputs, right? And there's like an option field, right? Option fields. And this keep track of an array of all those inputs. Why? Because the instance option fields is gonna use those as a trigger, right? This turn those fields into like a stream of observables of those fields on a state, and I will set the options. So basically, when you change the color, right, when you change the color on the material, and we do material.color equals whatever you pass in. So, and then it's reactive and all that stuff. And so it's just a bunch of um, annoyance when working with like inheritance and that. Okay. Why did I do it this way? I tried composition with the Angular 3 project like 3 4 version ago. It did not work out well. I mean, it it's painful. It's a different kind of pain, but it's still painful. And when I first started, I thought about what if I do this. I just have NGT mesh, right? It's the mesh that people is gonna be using on template. And why can't I have it extend this for me? You know? Right? Because when we do NGT mesh on the template, Angular instantiate this. So they basically do new NGT mesh, or they call it a factory or something like that. I don't know. A factory passing the DI stuff, right? So why can't I do this? Like do NGT extends 3 mesh? Well, the problem was I could not extend anything else. Right? What if I still want to have the logic inside of an instance, inside the NGT instance to do some like instantiation, outputting, like a ready event or something like that. Mesh is not an object, or is not a class that I control, so I cannot have it extend anything else. But, I cannot do this. Now, with the host directive composition API, I can still have my NGT instance, right? And then on my mesh, I can do host directives, NGT instance, right? That's cool. Now, all of a sudden, inheritance and composition are not fighting anymore. They actually complement each other for this particular use case, because the 3 APIs are class-based. So now I can do that. But there are problems as well, and we're gonna explore that now. All right. I actually have something here. I'm just gonna open this up into this window. I'm gonna close everything, and I'm actually gonna delete everything that I like play with here. Delete this one, and just delete this one, and delete this as well. But it's gone. These are gone. Okay. There. So now that looks better. Okay. So now here I have a new Angular application again, and I have 3 installed, right? So what I want to do is we want to model what I just wrote. Like we want to have a canvas component. The canvas is gonna instantiate the scene, blah blah blah, and then we're gonna have a mesh geometry and a material to see how, if it's actually working, right? So first thing first, let's create my canvas component. Right? For class NGT canvas, and it's gonna be a component. Selector, it's gonna be NGT canvas. Stone to template, it's gonna be something, and then chain detection, it's gonna be on push. So now it's gonna be a div with style with 100%, 100%, and inside of here we have the canvas. It's gonna be the GML canvas, so it's gonna be the canvas that we're gonna use to output the 3 stuff, and it has style of display block. And then we have some styles on the host as well. So it's gonna be style, right? Pause and display that. Okay, now we have the basic style. And now if we use this right now on my scene, right? And do NRS. And refresh. Now you see a blank screen, but the canvas is, oh, sorry, the canvas is not yet because we still have to set up the size and stuff like that with the renderer. But you can see that the parent of the canvas is actually taking up the whole scene, the whole width and height. So this is done so that you can actually control the size of the canvas. If you wrap it in like a container, right, with width of like 400 pixel, and save, you can see that the canvas is now just that part, just like the 400 pixel, right? Okay, cool. So now we have a canvas, and we say that inside this canvas we need to have a scene, right? A scene, a renderer, and a camera. I actually forgot to put a ng content in, so that we do content projection inside of here. All right, cool. So first of all, when working with 3 or any like canvas-based, SVG-based APIs, you might want to do zone. Might want to inject zone because you're gonna have to run some of those operations outside of Zone.js, outside of the Angular zone, because you don't want to trigger chain detection, because whatever APIs you're using actually drawing the updates to the canvas, so it doesn't really go through Angular chain detection unless you have some APIs that go through chain detection. Okay, so here I'm just doing private read only zone inject ng zone here. You know what? Actually, I want to try this because we do have the target to 2022, so we might be able to have the this without being transpiler. So let's look at the source. Look at man.js and look at zone. There we go. So now we can use this in Angular 15 now. Before this gets like compiled into some weird stuff, and it actually adds more code. It adds more code to your code. So I avoided it, but now I think I'm gonna use this one. This syntax, this is like real private. Next, I'm gonna get the host element. So this is gonna be element ref as element ref of HTML element. Right? Cool. Now I'm gonna need the scene, right? Let's do the scene. Let's do a read-only scene. It's not gonna be private, and it's gonna be new 3.scene. Simple as that. Oh, now inside of on init, right? We're gonna say this zone.run out. Oh, zone.run outside of Angular. Right, inside of here, we're gonna start doing the renderer stuff. So now we have the renderer. Actually, I forgot is that I need the view child as well. And this view child will target that GeoCanvas and say start view. This is my GeoCanvas of element ref of HTML canvas element. So right in here inside of here, I'm gonna have my GL, so which is the new 3.webview renderer. And I'm gonna say no, not that. This right here, the canvas element is actually the GeoCanvas, not native element. Cool. All right, now we have the GL. Let's set up the camera, right? Camera, gonna be new 3 perspective camera. Let word. It does. There we go. Just copy like the default. The size dot width divided by the size dot height is actually the aspect ratio of the perspective camera. So here I'm just gonna use the window. So dot in the height. Right, so that's camera, and I'm gonna set the position of the camera to 5 because by default is at 0, 0, 0. So you want to move the camera back a little bit so you can see the center of the scene. And just look at the center by default. Okay, so now that is the camera. Next, I'm just gonna set up some default for the GL. Where is it? Here we go. So here we're gonna set up the device pixel ratio and same thing, window dot inner width and window dot inner height. So we set the size of the canvas. Now if you go back to here, oops, not that. When you look at this, the canvas now actually full size because now the renderer is actually taking over the canvas. Cool. Right, next is to start rendering. Yay! Right, so let's start rendering. So let's say we have an animate function, and instead of this, we're gonna run animate, right? And just do gl.render this dot scene and the camera, right? And we call it animate. Cool. So now the animation is running, but we don't have anything on the scene yet. But let's just add something. Okay, here I have a new 3.mesh, and this is gonna be new 3.box geometry and new 3.mesh standard material. I'm gonna give it a color of red, and then we're gonna add this in that add mesh. Hopefully you see something. There we go. What? Oh, not mesh standard, sorry, mesh basic material, not mesh standard material. So now you see something red, right? But now we can actually animate it. So here, the idea of animation inside of Three.js is that you change the property of the cube little by little, and it runs frame by frame, right? So that's the idea of animation. So here, just do rotation.x and do the same thing with y. And now you can see that the cube is animating, right? But this is imperative. This is way too imperative. Because what if I want another mesh, right? What if I want another mesh? You're gonna have to create another mesh, right? And maybe call it like 3 or something. I don't know, blue or something like that. Let's change the position to like 2, 0, 0, and then add to the scene. Now you have a 2 key, right? And then you want to spin. You're gonna have to copy the logic of rotation. Now 2 keeps is spinning. Okay. So this is way too imperative, right? With that in mind, what I want to do is I want to create my entity mesh now. I just remove everything. My canvas is back to white. So let's do okay. Mesh.ts, right? It's gonna be export class entity mesh, and I'm gonna extend that mesh like we talked about, right? And it's gonna be a component with selector of entity mesh, style of true template of the entity content only, right? Cool. Now let's see. Right, I want to console out the instance, this instance, to see what Angular gives me. Wait, I haven't used it. I need to use it. So I use this in here, right? Entity mesh. Go. Now look at this. Angular actually can instantiate the 3 mesh, and it gives me everything that the 3 mesh gives me. Right? It has position and all that stuff, like all the properties. Right? Now, how do I add this mesh to what? To my scene. So let's do that. So inside of my mesh, what I can do is I can let's do this. Right? That's zone. I can inject what the canvas. Right? And I will say skip cell for sure. So because I'm rendering the entity mesh instead of the entity canvas, I can inject the parent. So now I have a canvas. Again, run outside of Angular. What I want to do here, I want to grab the canvas. This is scene. That. So now let's say if I go back here, actually let's just console off this, right? And now on the parent, I have the scene, and the scene has the children of entity mesh. My mesh is actually on the canvas right now, but you're not seeing it because the color is not, and it doesn't have any shape. So we're gonna give it shape by the box geometry. So let's create that, right? Box geometry, and at the same time, I'm gonna create mass basic material as well. Okay. For class entity box geometry, this is gonna extend the 3 dot box geometry. I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be a component select of entity box geometry. So choose template is gonna be ng content. There we go. What now? Same concept. Same concept. I can inject zone, and I can inject what? The mesh. Inject entity mesh. Skip cell. Two. Right. Constructor. Enjoy init. Alright. Implement. On init. This dot zone. Dot run outside of Angular. And I will say this dot mesh dot geometry equal this. Easy peasy. I'm gonna copy this and go here and change the name of this to mass basic material. This is mass basic material. This is gonna be material. Very easy. Sam, right? So now I have the mass basic material. I have the what? I have the box geometry. Actually, I want to change the color of this to like a hot pink before I add it to the material so that it is pink. And then back here, let's say entity box geometry, right? And entity mass basic material. Ta-da! It works. Simple, right? Some simple out of code, and you have something for this. Now, what if I want to add another mesh, right? I want to add another mesh. What if I want to do that? All right, as I said on the 3 mesh, because we extend the 3 dot mesh, we actually have access to the position property on this entity mesh. So it has the property already, which means that you cannot add like an input for position. It doesn't work because TypeScript is going to tell you, hey, this member is on the 3 dot mesh property already. And they say, hey, you can override it, but you cannot because it's not. Actually, let's give you string. Yeah, it cannot be assignable, right? So what you can do is that on the components metadata, there's an inputs array, right? And you can do precision, right? You can do precision, and then on the app component, you can do precision. Look at that. Right, but the type is a little bit wrong. not wrong right now. It is, the type is correct, because if you look into 3.mesh, it's object 3D. Look into precision. It is vector 3. Okay, so WebStorm is correct now here. Right. So what if I do a precision of new 3.vector3 of 200? It moves up a little bit to the right, right? And I pass this into the mesh, and you get this error. What does this error say? It says cannot assign to read-only product position on the object. It means that the position property here on the 3.mesh, on the 3.object 3D, is read-only, right? It makes sense because position is a vector, and like reconstruct vector is very expensive in terms of like 3D rendering. So that when you instantiate a new object 3D, the 3JS library is gonna give you the default vector 3, and then if you want to change the position, you use this vector 3 instance and you give its new value. So you do not have a new instance of vector 3, right? So, but now we cannot do that, because when we pass in an input, Angular just does like this dot key equals new value, because there's no way it knows we're working with 3JS. So this is where I was stuck. This is where I was stuck like a couple of days ago. I was thinking, how can I do this? How can I like change this? And then what? I got proxy. So now, right, proxy. So here inside of my constructor, I can do this. Return new proxy. I said this, right? And now you can. Wait, what? Can I say? Can I say? And can you give me? Oh, actually, right here. There we go. So now when I console log, it actually gives me the proxy, and then the target is still the instance, right? What I can do now, I can say, hey, if you set prop new value receiver, right? If you set stuff, I want to trap it, I want to do something else. So let's say you set the position, right? You run the set on the position, this dot position equals something else. It runs through this trap. I see it is like some special props. Then I'm gonna run something special, right? I'm just gonna do this real quick. I've done this before, so this is something that you have to do. Target, prop, new value, and receiver. So because Angular does set the ng context, so I have to trap it. Okay, so now let's just do something very simple. We're working with like position right now, so I'm just gonna do a special case for position. So again, if you setting the position property, then do target as any prop set new value. Cool. Actually, it's gonna be copy. Sorry, it's gonna be copy. All right. Then this needs to return true, or just return this. So for everything else, do the normal way. Generate members on whose class does not declare it. And generate net. Wait, what? Oh, the proxy doesn't work with this. That's fine. I'll take a look into that later. But this seems like it doesn't work with this. Okay, so let's rename this back to zone. Let's put private. Rename this back to canvas and make it private. Right. Hey, look at that. Work. The position works as well. Right. I have a new position here. Right. So it means that I can now, I think, make this a what? A new like cube, right? Cube component. Select a cube. Start on view templates. It's gonna be this. import that, import that, and have an input of precision. It's gonna be 3 dot vector 3, and I can pass that in. Actually, let's check again, and target and new value is not identified, right? Okay, so back to this, and I'm gonna, instead of doing this, I just say, hey, you have a cube now. Do the cube. Turn falsy. Okay, that's fine. So we have to do something differently here. If do this, say, there we go. Right. So now what I can do now, I can pass, right, pass the precision to the cube. And look at that, it worked. What if I have another precision? Right, and this one is -2. Damn, declarative, right? If I have more cube, I just do more cube. That is cool. That is awesome. Right, without like all the NGT instance attaching stuff, I can just do this. And by the way, I need something from NGT instance, but now this actually allow me to do like host directive NGT instance here. But still keep the secret sauce and the proxy. Cool. So now I have that. What is missing? We miss the animation, right? So how do we do that? Let's see. So the animation is running on in the canvas component. So we have to have something here. I'm just gonna go simple. I'm just gonna have a behavior subject. It's called before render, right? It's before render stuff, and it's gonna be a new behavior subject, and it's gonna be an empty array, and it's just gonna be a function array of function return void. That's it, right? And here I have let before renders equals an empty array. Actually, let's give it a type as well, void. And here I'm gonna subscribe to this. I say this is renders before renders equal renders. Right, and of course you're gonna have to clean up, but I'm not going to this one. And before we render, before we actually run the gl.render, we're gonna loop through before renders, and let's just say before render, run it. So now we have a mechanism to run the before renders. Inside of the mesh, what we can do, you can do this dot canvas dot before render dot next what next dot canvas dot before render dot what value, and then the function rotation dot x. That simple, huh? Simple. Okay, so now back to, now we have animation. Isn't it cool? Isn't it cool? It's so cool. All right, I think, yeah, that's kind of covered. So it's, so this is like the new vision, the new future that I have for Angular 3. First is that I'm going to be maintaining only the core part of Angular 3. If you look at the current Angular 3 packages, they have core, canon, processing, SOBA, which is a lot to maintain by myself. If you look into this one, this the core alone has tons of entities, and then you have Soba, which has a storybook, also has tons of stuff inside of here, and I cannot maintain it by myself. So moving forward, I will only maintain the core part. And for the core part, I think with the host directive stuff, I'm gonna go with this API instead of like peer inheritance. So I'm gonna have my class extends the three dot mesh. I mean, the extends the three entities, so that Angular instantiate the three entities. So technically, I have less objects, so memory consumption is better, and I have my component behaves almost the same as the three entities, because I mean we extended it with copying the behavior from the three library. So there are a lot of not of custom stuff that I don't have to do, and that's it. So when the time comes, I'm gonna make an announcement, and I'm gonna try to, hey, did you want to maintain this part of Angular 3? Do you want to maintain that part of Angular 3? I'm gonna be worrying about the core part only. All right, and I'm gonna be using the proxy base. So all of my components gonna be returning a proxy. Performance issue, I've read about it. There might be some performance indication about the proxy, but I think Vue.js is using it enough so that the performance issue is probably negligible. So I'm gonna go with this for now. It's a terrible idea, but it might be good. Who knows, you know? Okay. I think that's it for today. We've gone about 1 hour and a half. And I don't know, man. I think this is so cool that you can just return, like when you return a proxy for your component, there's like shit tons of things that you can do. I think you can do like proxy based state management, right? You can do like base proxy based state management and all that stuff. So it's like, imagine you can do observable inputs. 100% you can do that with proxy based. Okay, but that's something else to explore. We're not gonna explore it right now, but yeah, that's something else. Cool. What else? I think that's it. Do you have any? Oh, there's a question. Until embark event image lỗi bằng error sẽ change source bằng một biến global bằng promise, nhưng biến nó undefined khi deploy, còn change logo không bị. I don't know. There's a lot of information missing, like how do you deploy it, what that variable is, do you control that variable, and all that stuff. So not enough information for me to answer. Again, I will always ask for a reproduce. Can you make a reproduce? Simple, but something small, but it shows the error, right? All right. You guys have any questions? Last minute questions, last minute suggestion. I mean discussion. Happy to discuss stuff. If you learn more about, if you want to learn more about proxy, reach out to me. If you want to learn more about Angular 3, of course, reach out to me. One of the problems is that I don't work in like the 3D industry. I create Angular 3 just for fun, just out of spite. Like I think Brandon Roberts from the NGRX team, he said that there's like a spy driven development in the Angular ecosystem because all of the other ecosystem like React, Solid, Svelte, all of those have cool stuff. Angular does not. Angular does not have cool stuff. Like there's no Vite, there's no like TRPC, React query, all that stuff. Angular does not have those, and especially React has the React 3 fiber, absolutely wonderful library to work with like 3JS in a declarative way. I've heard people saying that they pick React instead of Angular because Angular ecosystem does not have anything close to it, close to like React 3 fiber, you know. Um, so I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna build one. So this is where we are, and I think I've gone through I think at least 4 iterations of how Angular 3 was written. I started out as inheritance, switched to composition, another way of composition, and then I switched back to inheritance, and now we have the host directive. So it's the fifth tab, and I've also experiment with different state management solution, RX state, a component store, a custom component store, and now I think in this version I'm gonna just use component store. Um, yeah, that's it from me. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next stream where I fix webcam and my keyboard cam. All right, talk to you guys later.